Thank you so much for having me here today. I'd love to spend a few minutes telling you about what we've learned through the two projects you just heard about, Half of Us and Love is Louder. So let me get started with Half of Us. In 2006, we were struck by a staggering statistic. At that time, half of all college students reported feeling so depressed they couldn't function during the last semester. When we heard that stat, we knew we needed to do something. So MTV's college network, MTVU, partnered with the JED Foundation to launch Half of Us, which is dedicated to improving emotional health and preventing suicide among college students. The campaign uses real stories from celebrities like Pete Wentz, who's pictured here, powerful PSAs, a robust online presence to fight stigma surrounding mental health while connecting students to resources. And over the past 6.5 years, Half of Us has reached millions of young people on air, as well as connected countless students online to help. Several years later, in the fall of 2010, a number of high-profile teen suicides dominated headlines. You guys might remember there was an outpouring of anger and grief. MTV and the JED Foundation saw this as an opportunity to change the conversation from problem-focused to one that was solution-focused and positive. So in October 2010, we launched Love is Louder in partnership with actress Brittany Snow to help shift the dialogue and dial up messages of love and support. Love is Louder engages with its active social media community to strengthen emotional health by building resiliency, creating connectedness, and promoting acceptance. And each day, hundreds of thousands of young people are being exposed to and amplifying the critical Love is Louder message through photos, and you'll see one right here, videos, social media messages, and more. So I'd love to just share a few core lessons we've learned through working on these three campaigns. And you've actually already heard a little bit about some of these lessons from the prior speakers. The first one is authentic storytelling. From our experience, one of the most powerful and effective ways to reach young people is to share authentic, real stories of people who've gone through mental health issues, but then had the ability to get through it. So we filmed Mary J. Blige, Pete Wentz of Fall Out Boy, Billy Corgan of the Smashing Pumpkins, among many others, who are opening up and underscoring the fact that mental health can affect anybody. And I'd like to just show you a brief video with clips from our Mary J. and Pete interviews.
I got tired of living, so I was almost on the verge of suicide. Not even almost on the verge of suicide. I was suicidal. I was ready to kill myself because I hated the way I looked. I hated the sound of my voice. I hated everything about me.
I would say more than anything, you're not alone in it. You know, that's one of the biggest things is like, I feel like when I was going through it, I was like, I'm all alone in this just because I couldn't talk to my 4 friends about it, but you aren't alone in it.
As you can see, there is a raw honesty and authenticity in their storytelling. And looking back at the Pete Wentz interview in particular, we were struck by the comments we received. People were saying that this video gave them hope. This video even helped save their life. And while it's important to see people like Pete Wentz, who you admire, admitting that they're struggling with mental health, it's also important to see people who are just like you. So that's why, as part of the campaign, we interview students as well, opening up about their struggles. The second lesson I want to share with you is the power of tapping into cultural moments. We have been able to magnify the impact of our work by tapping into cultural moments happening all around us. So most recently, we connected the audience to Love is Louder as a way to cope with and share uplifting messages surrounding the tragedies in Oklahoma and the bombings in Boston. So leveraging moments when emotional issues are already in the national conversation has made our campaigns relevant and has helped us reach those young people who might not want to engage with the mental health initiative otherwise. We also tap into relevant moments happening right at MTV. In 2012 alone, mental health was a core theme in 5 MTV programs. Vinny from Jersey Shore opened up about his battle with anxiety disorder. Demi Lovato revealed she was dealing with an eating disorder in an MTV News special. One of our Real World cast members talked about his struggles with substance abuse. We felt we had a responsibility in those moments to connect our audience to resources. So we integrated halfofus.com directly into our programming. And in doing so, we saw a nearly 600% increase in traffic to our site. So tapping into these moments really underscores that if you find those right moments to talk about mental health, you can have a major impact. The last lesson I want to share with you is the value of empowering the audience, and you heard about this a little bit today. It's, commonplace for us to create campaigns that speak to young people, but what we really aim to do is create campaigns that allow young people to speak for themselves. In any of our work, we don't want to make it seem like the adults are going to figure it out for you, but instead we want to respect the audience's intelligence, listen to them, make them feel empowered, and then provide them with a clear pathway to get help. Half of us has done this by showing examples of help seeking and then giving that clear, simple pathway to resources. Love is Louder uses social media to spark a supportive, positive conversation, which helps young people realize the power of their own voice. In fact, the Love is Louder community has become so empowered that students across the country started forming Love is Louder clubs on their own. And we're always looking to actions like that to see how are young people making our campaign their own so that we can then reflect that in our future campaign programs. So there's many other lessons that I would love to share with you, but I'll stop here. And I just want to mention that I realize many of you might not have access to Celebs or MTV's programming, but I really believe these lessons can be applicable in other environments. So to summarize, tell authentic stories however you can. Tap into relevant moments. It'll help you stay relevant and grow your impact. And make sure your audience feels empowered and like an active participant in your work. Thank you.